And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we're going to be discussing Dexter New Blood, episode number 2, Storm of... We're not monetized, so Storm of Fucks, or Storm of Fuck. Um, yeah, man. I loved... He actually said that line. That was great. There was the moment when... Because the whole episode is essentially Dexter trying to cover up. I mean, he's balancing a lot of things. He's trying to cover up the murder he committed, while the police and everyone is literally right there. The body is right there as well under the fireplace. He's trying to balance this new relationship with his son, his girlfriend. It's Dexter, spinning a lot of plates and holding them up. And I love the whole point at the end when Deborah is speaking to him, and she's just like, "You're enjoying this, that you're getting away with this. You're even plotting and thinking about doing this again." But yeah, a lot going on in the episode. Just initial thoughts as far as that sort of being the theme. Dexter trying to get
It
away with it.
it almost feels like Deb is the writer's way of saying, you know what, fans, we heard you. You didn't think that Dexter should have got away with all this stuff, and they're just making Deb the embodiment of that.
Yeah, and also it's hard to imagine the show without Deb, so it's interesting to have her back in this way also.
I
I meant to look
100%
it
agree
up.
with that. Yeah.
I meant to look it up because I don't know if Harry's still alive, like the actor.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to look that up because for Harry to be that guiding force all through the first 8 seasons, for him to now, I mean, spoiler alert. If you don't know the history of Dexter, I'm sorry, you're missing a lot of critical information. But uh, Deb dying, it was like almost the last episode. So for it to go down that way and for her to take over, it makes sense. But for Harry to be completely missing, uh, from his initial guiding voice is a little odd to me. So I'm not sure. I don't think it takes away from the story at all because Deb's way more hell bent than Harry ever was with Dexter. But I am curious now.
Well, speaking of those inner monologues and whatnot, you think there's a chance that if this show doesn't go well for Dexter, if like you were saying, Spencer, if this is him potentially even not getting away from it for once, is there a chance that Dexter could be Harrison's Harry?
That would be fucking amazing.
That's a hell of a. That's great. I like that.
Yeah, I just thought, like it's Dexter New Blood. We may be passing a baton. There's a lot of signs that that's the case. So, if he absorbs enough of those lessons, if he reads enough of his journals, that could be the case.
Would even be better if Harrison didn't have like a code, like he just was. We get the point of view from Dexter in the previous seasons, and even this, he's the bad guy you root for because the people he's going after aren't somebody who shoplifted a purse from the store. They're all rapists, pedophiles, murderers, abusers. Like the people he's killing are some pretty fucked up evil people. So it's easy to like Dexter because he's basically just taking out the trash. But to me, a good twist would also be if Harrison doesn't have that code. Like he's killing for revenge or, whatever, and he has to learn this along the way. And I think that would be a cool little spin on it because you get Harrison at a very young age doing these kind of things.
Harrison, I mean, we get a lot of him in this episode as well, and he's a very clever guy. And we get little scenes where he talks about um the way he even talks to Dexter. It's almost manipulative in a way, but you completely sympathize because he was abandoned. So it's like, no, I get all that, but I don't know. I feel like there's something more going on. We get the scene where the kids are digging through his shit, and instead of freaking out, he just makes a noise so they know he's coming back. He didn't want to cause a confrontation. He didn't want to cause an issue. He's always laying in the back. He knew how to get into the door, real quickly, as if he's done that before. We know, according to him, he's been sort of out and about for a couple of years. We know he says that his stepmother has passed away, Hannah. Um, is that true? Maybe, maybe not. He got access to that letter. I don't know. I don't. I mean, we'll see. I don't completely know though that he's telling us the complete truth.
I think he killed his mom.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I think he killed Hannah. I don't think it had anything to do with cancer.
Oh
And
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go, yeah.
well, because we look at, I think it was what, season 7, when, when Dexter found her, she was killing people. Like, Hannah's not this. It was Hannah wasn't Rita. It was Hannah was not a great person. So even if Hannah was trying to guide Harrison, use these things to help him, similar to what Harry did for Dexter. What happens if Harrison realized what she was doing, what kind of person she was in her past and stuff? And if he's following Dexter's footsteps, it would not be all that unreasonable for him to take out his own mom.
Yeah, and that she, like Spencer saying, she may not have been the best mom, and Harrison being as young as he is, he may have done it in a sloppy way and got caught, and him bouncing from town to town. It may be there may be more than one reason for that. Yeah, he may have been looking for Dexter, but he also may actually be on the run for murdering Hannah.
He was so comfortable with covering for Dexter, at several points, whether the name or just different things. It really felt like this wasn't the first time he's had to keep secrets and had, you know what I mean? Like he came off. It was funny because going back to the first episode, once we realized that's who it was, my thought was, okay, is he gonna carry this franchise forward? And I wasn't sure based on the few moments we had with him. After this episode, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy, I think could. And I love the idea of what if Dexter is his conscience or whatever, going forward, if that's in fact how the season ends, if we kill off Dexter and that happens. But no, I Harrison has convinced me, at least at this point, that he's a major player and could potentially be the future of the franchise.
Well, that and I'm pretty sure he has. I'm pretty sure he has those tendencies too, because there's the whole scene with the knife, and I'm assuming because we didn't pan back to you know Dexter's knives that he had laid out, and
You
Harrison
were
was over
looking to
there.
see if he was going to take it.
Yeah, I was looking
Yeah,
if he was gonna take it, and we never panned back to it. And so and that seems to imply to me that it's like it's something that Dexter will find later, that he'll go back to those knives and the cleaver will be missing.
Well, and I just recently, because my wife, we tried to watch Dexter and she never really got into it, and now we just powered through season 4. So we bum rushed through a shit ton of episodes, but uh, just watching season 4, Harrison was kind of that trial by fire, just like Dexter was when he was a baby. He was just a little bit younger. So all these awful things happened to Harrison. Did he basically just get built the same way Dexter did? It's not
yeah.
only not only was he exposed to those kind of things, it's also in his DNA. So you got the DNA stuff on top of a very similar situation to what Dexter went through. So
He was birthed this, in a moment of blood and death. Yeah, I mean, in season 4. Um, Absolutely. I mean, they've definitely set up for him to be this, if that's the direction it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think like you were alluding to earlier, Brian, it seems like some of the things he said, it seems like he's doing a lot of double talk also, like when he mentions the darkness in him that Dexter mentioned in his letter, it's clearly he was trying to get him to confess something, but I feel like Harrison's, like you're saying, holding his cards pretty close to the cuff also, so that he doesn't let too much slip. And Dexter's trying to make excuses. Well, it seems like to me that Harrison's trying to goad him into saying that he is what he is, because Harrison's a killer himself, and he wants his dad to admit that.
Yeah. Um, we get another sort of parent-child dynamic with Bishop, Angela, and her daughter Audrey. We find out that she took in Audrey, that her mother was did she say she was killed or ran away, or no, she ran away or
Hank,
something. She abandoned
who
her.
you talking about? Harrison's mom?
No, no, no.
Not
The
Iris.
cop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get some stuff with them. She's still wanting to be friendly with Dexter. Dexter for a moment was like, oh, the relationship's over, but then he's like, oh no, it's, I guess, sort of strengthened in a way. Um, we have all the stuff with the lands, and we have she was basically told, you got to pick a side. The indigenous people talking about how they, their lands are being trampled on. All the women that go missing, and nobody gives a shit. This one rich kid goes missing, and they want to do everything possible to find him. And so that character is dealing with a lot over the course of the episode, including the falling out at the very end with her daughter, when she called, which was sort of stupid. She called her out for partying with her friends. It's like, who gives a shit? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, sure, but anyways, that became a whole thing.
Oh, my thing is, kids that age, uh, uh, they're either one of two ways. They're either leaders or followers, and they're either shitty or less less shitty. It's not a whole lot in between, but for the power struggle and stuff, you're almost giving her what she wants, because with you know the mom being a police or sheriff, her acting like a badass is giving her the attention and the desired result with her friends. It's making her look like a badass, her looking like she doesn't have to answer to the law. So by her making her, I don't want to say feel uncomfortable, but feel like she needs to rebel, it's, I think, backfiring a little bit, because she's actually strengthening her looking more like a badass in front of her friends.
Well, yeah, and she seems like the type of person who doesn't know how to approach this any other way than by, trying to assert authority. And it's kind of like you said, an awkward situation because, as a teenager, she's gonna push back, because I think we all did. And Spencer, you got teens yourself, so it's like that they they definitely do that. Like, but I think that something you mentioned earlier, Brian, the fact that she's adopted, I think that's going to be played for drama later. I think that she's either the daughter of someone that Dexter potentially killed, uh, or that heck,
It's Dexter.
well, it could be no, she's too young for. I mean, she's too old for that. I was going to say she could have been Rita's kid, but no, she's too old for that. But it'll play back into some past event.
it,
Otherwise, they wouldn't have her, as an adopted kid.
it's Deb's kid.
um,
It's Deb and Dexter's kid.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with the whole, that's so, it seems to be the only way she knew how to handle it was sort of the authority, as the authority figure. It was one of those sort of awkward, it was funny because even she realized it. I like the way it was written, where, she has the little fight with her kid and everybody's just sort of standing there. I'm like, okay. Um, I also love the whole, Dexter's so excited, it's over, these guys are all gonna leave, and the body is right beneath them, ha ha ha. And then we get introduced to a new character. I just call him Caldwell because I don't know the character's first name, but the father of Dexter's victim shows up. Great, I can't remember the actor. He's in a bunch of shit. Really cool guy.
It looks like that dude from Highlander.
It is.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's him, dude. Yeah, he's in all kind of stuff. But he shows up and convinces them to stay, and we got to find my son. And I now this was my first thought. He basically says, look, if my son did something stupid, the first thing he always does is call me, and because he knows that he can fix it, which led me to think, okay, so then his son called him immediately after the boat thing, which means the father obviously helped the son cover it up. pinning the blame on the other guy, blah, blah, blah. Point being, at some point, will Dexter start to look into this guy and think that he fits the criteria for his list? That was one of my immediate thoughts.
That's a good
he
point.
might think each season of Dexter, there's always one big bad guy, and I think he's going to end up being the big bad guy this season.
Yeah, and depending on how much he finds out, he could be a serious threat to Dexter, because he's not only does he have his wealth behind him, but he's got a lot of pull in this town. He started naming people and things that he's done for them, and like you said, Brian, he likely covered up this whole boat thing. And so, is it going to be the sort of thing where he does meet Dexter's criteria, like you're saying, or is it going to be enough that Dexter's like, nah, this dude can go to jail, and that gets him out of my hair, but he's still able to pull some strings because of his wealth and power from prison, and maybe suspects Dexter from there.
Yeah. We also we have, in my opinion, we have two suspects with the kidnapping of the girls, potentially. We have him, Caldwell. I doubt it's him, but who knows? And then we have other rich oil guy. I think his Edward Olson.
I just called him eyebrows.
We never see the face of the guy who has kidnapped the girl. We get a bunch of scenes with this girl who's kidnapped. We know girls are being kidnapped. We know they're disappearing. Nobody knows where they're at. Clearly, we saw the trailer, so clearly somebody's doing this for their amusement. Whether or not I'm assuming it's one of those two guys, just because whoever's doing this clearly has money and resources. And we were introduced to two super rich guys. So I'm assuming it's one of them, unless it's a third character. But yeah, what do y'all think in terms of Caldwell or oil guy?
It's Kurt Caldwell.
Kurt. Okay. What was the son?
I don't know. I just was looking up. His name is Clancy Brown.
That's Highlander guy.
Yes.
And Starship Troopers. He was the drill sergeant.
He is.
I remembered him from that.
Pet Cemetery too. He was the main bad guy.
He was the dude in The Mandalorian too. The dude.
Yep. He does voice work too, doesn't he?
Oh, dude, everything.
Yeah.
He's in Venture Brothers, Avenger. In Venture Brothers, he plays Red Death.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, to address your theory there, I think it's possible you could be right on both accounts. I think we may be looking at like sort of a Squid Game scenario where it's both these rich guys. Maybe it's not just one. It's just something
Spoilers.
that they collectively.
That would be cool, and boy, would Dexter be excited if he learned there was this huge operation of these, horrible guys doing this. Maybe that's it. We get the ending, and it's Dexter and his son teaming up to just slaughter all these guys.
I mean, that to me would make the most sense, is that him and his son end up, Dexter in, I want to say it's season 3 with Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smith.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Funny to me. But in season 3 of Dexter, Dexter thought he had this friend, somebody he can, confide in, do all this stuff. But now I think once he realizes that his son has the same kind of inclinations, that perhaps they become a duo and they start working together. And if it was some big operation, and to me, that would be something worthy of a two-man team trying to take them out.
And I think that's likely to happen, but I think that Dexter's gonna kind of fight that for maybe even the entirety of this season. Try to create a normal life for Harrison until he realizes that there's no better option for him.
Yeah, because part of the struggle with him and Deb is the idea of ruining his son's life, getting him killed, or bringing him into it. So I agree. As of right now, I don't think he wants that at all. Um, Now that might change, but yeah, no. I, weird sidebar, but the set design and just the way this thing was shot. I don't know about you, and it is getting colder, but man, I could just feel how cold it was. Like
Yeah.
in that cabin, I'm like, man, to hell with that, man. Like when his son kept the giant coat on to go take a piss or shit or whatever he did. That was my first thought was, it's so cold. He's gonna keep that coat on to go use the bathroom.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
this time of year, definitely feel that to the point that it's like you said, you actually feel that here to the point where I was like, I need to turn up the heat, because it's just getting that cold. And yeah, they did a good job of portraying that level of coldness that we're very familiar with in the area we're in.
The Another little minor thing, the new cop who's just screwing up everything, and he crashes the drone, and it gets Dexter excited because he's like, "Wow, maybe I will get away with this." He's like, "These guys are incompetent." Um, so we got a lot of, like I said, Dexter trying to cover up the tracks. That was amazing. All the blood and him driving over it. But we also got the scene with the like I love when Dexter has to hide things. Like he sees all the blood and the deer, and he's having, they're all like, oh, they think he's getting nauseous, and sick because of it. And it's like, nah, man, that's getting him going.
Yeah, he's fighting an impulse.
Yeah.
well, and my thing is regardless of how good the sheriffs are, this is some small ass town in upstate New York. This is not Miami, who has a lot of financial resources. The amount of
Murders.
stuff, yeah, the amount of stuff that he would have to cover up would probably be very little because they're not going to call some FBI informant to come. You know what, Jack Lundy instead of Frank? Like it's Jack's brother, which is just David Carradine, and he shows up and but they. It's one of those things where I don't feel that they would have the resources. So the amount of steps that he took to cover his own tracks, I don't know that he would have to. But to me, it's completely 100% in character for that character to feel the need to do that. So,
He was using the Windex on the rock.
Yeah.
dude, so
Yeah, I love that where Deb was commenting on it and everything, and she's like, "Do you think Windexing a rock's going to save you?" And then she's
It's like,
arguing
yes.
with herself.
um, but him being someone who that was his career for so many years also knows somewhat how to deal with it. And I loved also the scene where Harrison points that out. He's like, weren't you a cop? Don't you have more experience than them? Like he was sort of calling him out, like, why aren't you helping? Don't you know more than them? And then he was like, oh, I wasn't like real cop, and he was explaining it. But Harrison seemed to know some stuff.
yeah, I think that, we talked about it before and before we started recording. When you look at how he found out even where his dad was. I wonder what he has access to, or if he's just a computer geek and just has this crazy hacking ability and was able to, Google him and find him that way. The, the amount, like you said, the amount of information he has. I mean, we already know he does. We haven't got the full story with him yet, but I am very curious as to what the other parts of the puzzle are at this point.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I have the feeling that he has certain skills that Dexter lacks just because he is younger and more into technology. It seems because he's very interested in that drone for one. So he may be able to cover Dexter's or his own tracks in ways that Dexter wouldn't even think of.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And Dexter is also, he hasn't been, when he was working in the police department, he had access to it. Remember, he had his little lab, so he did have access to a lot of sort of tech and modern stuff. But he's been out of the game for a decade, living in a cabin. Absolutely. His son, that's why I was getting that vibe through the whole episode that his son seemed to be a few steps ahead of Dexter. Like I was just getting that feeling like I think this guy is playing Dexter. And um so yeah, it'll be fun to see through the course of the season.
Yep. That makes me curious if Harrison is playing him. Uh, to what end is he doing it
Yeah.
for? Not necessarily a financial gain, but to bond with his dad, or if he's trying to extort him, or if he feels maybe he's responsible for the mom dying. Like, there's a lot of reasons for him to do it, but I am curious as to what the reason is.
Well, here's my thought. Especially when he's talking about potentially leaving town soon, early in the episode. I was pretty sure that he was there to kill Dexter, and I thought that was part of why he took the hatchet in the first place. Was to kill Dexter, but now that he's getting some information and he's a little bit curious about what's going on, I think he's maybe planning to stay a little longer and figure things out and maybe learn about him. There may be a change of plan. That may still be a thing that he wants to do.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, definitely. Um I've gone through my notes. Is there anything else
I just
you
want
want
to
to talk
say,
about?
well, I just want to say, we mentioned the Windex rock. I'd like to see that be the sort of thing that, maybe not necessarily gets him caught, but gets the investigation escalated a little bit, or maybe gets some sort of special investigator in there. They find the rock. It smells a little too fresh. It's like someone Windex this rock, and they start investigating the area a little bit. Like that's weird. That's weird. Why is there Windex on this rock?
Yeah, it's nowhere near a window. What the fuck? They, I, as much as there's a lot of shows we talk about. There's a lot of things, but to me, this episode, although we didn't have as much to say about it, I felt like they did a great job with character development. And sometimes that doesn't lead to lengthy conversations, but that to me didn't take away from this episode. I'm very
No.
interested in the biggest things we talked about is what's Harrison going to do and how's that going to affect Dexter. And although we have a couple ideas and stuff, it's to me it was so well done that although we didn't have a lot to say about it, to me it was still an excellent episode, and I'm very interested to see where it goes from here.
Because the bulk of the episode, yeah, not technically not a whole lot happened. The bulk of the episode was getting us to, let us know who Harrison is, give us his personality, and then literally it was like 52 minutes, and it's like 30 minutes of Dexter covering his tracks. Like that was the episode. But you're
Almost.
right about we got all these little character moments, and we're understanding we're 2 episodes in, and I already feel like I really know Bishop and sort of have an idea of her and Dexter's relationship and the stuff with her daughter, and you know what I mean. Like I get this town, and I was saying that in the last episode, how the town is itself sort of a character this season.
It really is, which is why last episode I made that Twin Peaks reference, because the town and the people in it are a big part of this show. And speaking of which, I just really love how they avoided a lot of those tropes that I worried were going to show up with Harrison, and then seeing the kids in the Letterman jackets, and it's like, oh, they're going to start bullying Harrison, and then Harrison's going to kill them, and he's going to be, you know, he's trying to hook up with this popular girl, but these guys don't like him, and they see him as a nerd, and they avoided all those cliches that we've seen a thousand times, and given us kind of a interesting narrative with him.
That's a good point. Yeah, they didn't do that at all. They could have. I did like the little straight edge poke.
Yeah.
That was funny. He was like, "Yeah, I don't do drugs," and they're just like, "Are you straight edge?" I'm like, is that still a thing?
I,
Oh,
I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's you talk about the small town and the town having its own kind of dynamic. Uh, with What was his name? Clarence,
Clarence.
Clancy Brown. I don't remember it.
Oh, Kurt Caldwell.
There you go. I knew it was a C. But he had Clarence Caldwell. He the way the town was ran, it felt like a small town. So you talk about the town having its own kind of uh, personality and stuff. It's the Twin Peaks, but it feels real because a lot of small towns are ran like that. Whoever's in charge is whoever has the most money. It's not who was appointed, who the political figure is. It's literally who has the most cash, and uh, that has kind of shaped this town over the years. And he's been a big part of that. So I think the personality of the town is also something that they're developing as we're watching, which is very interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do love all those dynamics with all the characters. It's just and like you said, Spencer, I'm very excited to see how this develops. You know, I want more of Fred or cat hair
Fred
shirt guy.
Jr.
Yeah, Fred Jr. Yeah. You like seeing a lot of these characters pop up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even Sheriff Drone guy.
Yeah. Yeah, just sort of the bumbling cop. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always fun seeing him on screen.
Um, but yeah, great, solid second episode. Right now, the show is perfect is in terms of being on track, and let's hope it maintains this. Any other thoughts?
No.
All right. We are doing Wheel of Time. It's coming up here. The first 3 episodes will be dropping later this week, so look forward to that. And also check out our Big Sky review if you watch Big Sky. But yeah, we appreciate everyone listening, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.